We will bring in Dan Finch from Charlton in a moment, but first I want to be joined by Martin Sanders of Football Martin, Southampton fan. Martin, thanks so much for joining us. I think that could have gone another way, couldn't it, at the weekend? For 70 minutes, Southampton looked a little bit on the ropes and Wrexham had their chances and got themselves ahead as well. But I think the last 20 minutes showed your strength in depth.
Yeah, no, the strength in depth, it definitely shone through. But I think the big takeaway from me was the levels of fitness. I spoke to you about it many weeks ago. He's really worked on the fitness. Let's go back. So after the last World Cup, we were getting outran by sides in the Premier League before we got relegated the first time round under Nathan Jones. And under Martin, it was a ball heavy side. They kept the ball for such long periods of the time. They didn't have to work to go and get it because they had it all the time. But still wants to play a different style. He wants to get on the front foot. He wants to get the players fit. So he's put them through a pre-season that a lot of players would have never, ever had experienced in their careers. And he's got the likes of Ryan Fraser, incredibly fit. He looks so lean. Jack Stevens is at centre-back at the weekend. Not really one of the quickest players ever, but he was really sharp the weekend. And I noticed that right the way across the squad, that the pitch was a bit sticky in the first half. I thought the ball didn't really roll like it. It's not an excuse, but it just didn't really roll. But Saints have got, you look at the bench the weekend. You're Cameron Archer on the bench, Damien Downs, Ross Stewart, Mateus Fernandez. He had really good weapons from the bench, and I tell you what, he was really brave because 1-0 down, Gavin Bazunu, who he's put faith in because Ramsdale's gone out on loan to Newcastle, makes an incredible save. He makes a really good one-on-one save. I think it was from Josh Windass. And really, it set Saints up at that stage. And they were building and building and building. And then Ryan Manning, he come off the bench as well. Again, a really good Championship player from the bench is come on. And to be fair, he was the match winner, Manning.
Yeah, certainly was. I think I'm kind of torn between appreciating the depth, appreciating the fitness, and appreciating, I guess, the resolve and the mentality to keep going till the end, which I think is significant. Yeah. And also feeling like performance-wise, maybe wanted a little bit more. Are you concerned at all that maybe you weren't able to control the game in the way that you were hoping?
Yeah, I think we're missing a couple of bodies really, and I think the one area we are really missing is a ball carrier from midfield. I think we need somebody that can get the ball and move and run with it and dictate the play. Fernandez will do that, but I don't see him staying. I think he's a really good player, and I think he'd be too good to probably play at that level. No disrespect to the league, I think he's such a talent. The Saints had a lot of shots at goal. They're 27. I've got the stats in front of me. They're 26 shots at goal, 10 on target. The issue was they never really tested Danny Ward in goal. He didn't really threaten him, I don't think, enough. They're a little bit toothless in and around the 18-yard, 6-yard box. That was a little bit of a concern for me. So I think they're going to need to find creative players. I think he still needs wide men, people that can play out wide, that can get crosses in the box. And I still think he needs to nail down the system he's going to play, because he started with a 5 at the back, which is a bit strange to me. Adam Armstrong played through the middle. He's just not a number 9. I'm sorry, but he's just not a number 9 for me.
Agreed.
He's not good enough to play through the middle. He needs to play with a stronger target man that can hold the play. I've got to say, with Wrexham, I thought until he got injured, Kiefer Moore was really good. He was really strong. Him and Windass will be a really good combo in that league, and they'll score loads of goals between them. They were a real handful, the pair of them, and Saints did deal with them quite well. But I am a little bit concerned about us higher up the field, and are we going to score enough goals, Gab? That's my big concern.
It's interesting, Ollie, isn't it? Because Martin's asking whether Southampton will score enough goals, but they have got some options there up top. They've brought in Damien Downs from abroad. They've got Cameron Archer, who scored lots of goals at this level before. They've got Jay Robinson, who's come through the academy and looks like an exciting prospect, and Adam Armstrong as well. Do you see the firepower in the Southampton squad?
I mean, we've just done that without mentioning Ben Brereton Diaz, and we've done that without mentioning, there's so many players. I don't think we mentioned Ross Stewart in terms of players who, 2 years ago, we'd have said we're some of the best attackers in the Championship. Right now, they're not even third, fourth choice. So I think there's definitely the strikers there to look at scoring those goals. But obviously, there's the question mark over the consistency that they've been able to show over the last 2 years. I think since his breakout spell with Middlesbrough, there's been real question marks over Cameron Archer and probably the career decisions that he's made coming to us and then going immediately from us to, with no disrespect intended, basically the exact same situation at Southampton of two teams in the Championship who just weren't good enough to be in the Premier League, who just weren't good enough to be there. So for me, the big question is how are you going to get confidence into those front players? Because I do think the quality is there. I think the strength in depth is ridiculous. I think there's the creativity from midfield with some of those players, maybe it's not the ball carriers, but players like Shea Charles are going to create and be the really top Championship midfielders that as this season goes on, we will be talking about as sort of really dominating those positions. For me, it's about getting confidence back into some of those players because after such a punishing time in the Premier League, it takes a long time to really get going again. Ben Brereton Diaz, I assume, will be on his way out of Southampton, to be honest, given that he doesn't look like he's at the right level. He didn't really look there for us last year. But certainly I'm looking at that and if Southampton haven't got enough strikers, then my word, I don't know what we're going to do.
Martin, you've mentioned, I'd love to hear if you've got any sort of thoughts on Ollie's comments there, but just to add to that, are you feeling like you'd be quite happy to tick over August with a reasonable points tally and then feel like you back yourselves to catch fire maybe from September onwards after the first international break? Because that's when the parachute payment clubs do tend to come better, because in August there's a lot of uncertainty over key players and you've got that hanging over you.
Yeah, there's no around players. I think Ollie made a good point about Shea Charles. I was super impressed with him the weekend. Obviously watched him in his first season here. He's gone away to Sheffield Wednesday and he's come back and he's bulked out. He's strong. And nobody's really talking about the ball that he played to Ryan Manning for the final goal for the winner. It was a brilliant pass in behind the fullback to get Manning on it, and he got the pull back and the goal was scrappy, but we got it in. That was the most important thing. But yeah, I think that the next sort of 3 games are really, it's a tricky time, isn't it? Because there's noise around Tyler Dibbling. Obviously Everton have now signed Jack Grealish, so that may change what happens with Tyler, but he's training away from the first team squad. There was no sign of him around St Mary's at the weekend. He's handled it well. I've got to say, he's handled the situation really, really well. He's took the sting out of it. He's pretty much said, well, look, if he doesn't go anywhere, he'd be a big part of my plans. But as it stands, we need him all in. We need him if he's going to play. If he wants to be here, he needs to show that he wants to be here. The club need the funds. That's the problem. So they're going to sell him. Fernandez has noise around him. He didn't look his normal self the weekend because he's not had a proper pre-season. And yeah, I'm just not convinced that he'll be here come the start of September. Just try and get through. We've got a big one at the weekend against Ipswich. I watched Ipswich Friday night. I think Saints actually played far better than Ipswich did on Friday night. I thought as the game went, we really got going late on. I think we'll give them a really good game. I think it's a great matchup. Sunday lunchtime kickoff, that one for the cameras. I think it'd be a really good game. And then it's Stoke at home. Always potential banana skin for us. We don't really do that well against Stoke at home. We got Watford away as well. We just need to get out of this little block. The international break comes at the end of the window, and then it's the South Coast derbies on the other side of it. I don't like when the derby is, Ollie. I don't like it. I don't know about you, Gab. The timing of it for me is all wrong. It's just because you're still transitioning it. But once we can kind of get later into September, I do think we'll be okay.
All wrong or all right for Portsmouth, for Martin.
Perfect for them. Perfect for them. They will look at that. I think it's a great time to play us. Really, if it had been at Fratton, I think they would have been like, yeah, they would have loved it to be at Fratton. The fact it's down at our place makes it slightly different. And we would definitely be the favourites in it. We've got the stronger squad. We've got a good group, and be interesting to see what we're left with. Whether they can get Brereton Diaz out the door, it will be interesting. He's not liked here at all. He's never just not done anything here. I think there's a lot of players that get out the door. Bella Kotchap's another one. Samuel Dozy, he wasn't involved at the weekend neither. A lot of speculation around his future, where he's going to go. He's making a decision on where he goes, but he won't be a Saints player. And the other one was Joe Aribo. He didn't feature again at the weekend. So there's a lot of movement to get players out, but they're definitely probably going to need cover at right back. Like I said, probably need a number 10. We're short of a wide man. So you probably think there's 3 to come in with like 5 or 6 to go out the door. So there's a lot to be done sort of in this little window now.
Absolutely. Martin, thanks so much for joining us, and keep up the great work on the channel.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.